Welcome and thank you for coming out tonight. My name is Donna Moran and I'm one of the board members for the Home School Association here in Egg Harbor Township. Our other board members present this evening, hi Amber, is Sonia Cruz and Lauren Schlam, and you met them at the front desk, so they are also here this evening. Home and School is proud to present this evening's event, Candidates Night. Candidates Night is an opportunity for you, the public, to have a question and answer session with the candidates that are running for the open seats on the Board of Education here in EHT. There are 4 available seats. So we are absolutely honored that you're here and participating in this forum. At this time, I'm very happy to introduce our moderator for this evening. He's a resident of Cape May County and is the Patient Experience and Volunteer Services Director at Cape Regional Medical Center in Cape May Courthouse. His name is Mr. Ray Wisniewski, and please welcome Mr. Wisniewski.
Some of the ground rules for tonight, if you can, please respect everybody's questions, okay? If you have a cell phone, okay, and you have it on right now, if you could please put it on vibrate. Okay, I appreciate that. There are some pre-written questions from the public. If you have any questions during this forum, Megan is here. Megan, if you would raise your hand and you would like to submit them to Megan, Megan will take some more questions. Candidates, we just ask you to remain seated when you're answering your questions, and we're also going to go around the room and ask you for your names in just a minute. There are 3 minutes allowed for your answers, okay? And I'll hold up a little sign or give you a little cue at the 30-second mark, okay?
My name's Terry Alabarda.
Good evening, I'm Barbara Salagi.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Pete Castellano.
Good evening, I am Christy Bird.
Good evening, I'm Alicia Velez.
Good evening, my name is Juanita Hyman.
Good evening, my name is Steve Napoli.
Good evening, my name's Michael Price.
Good evening, my name is Yolanda Cooper.
So our first question is for Tara. And Tara, taxes have increased for more years than I can count. Please discuss how you will balance education priorities with fiscal responsibility and stress on taxpayers.
That's a big question to start out with. I'm also a taxpayer in the township, so I absolutely do not want the taxes to go up anymore. As I understand that administration will give us a proposed budget. I plan on looking at it and asking a lot of questions, especially if I see prices going up, things that might not be necessary. But when it comes down to it, our #1 priority is the students. And if there's programs or supplies or new textbooks that we need, then we do need to spend the money to give the children the best education that is possible. But with that being said, I will do my best to be fiscally responsible to the taxpayers of Egg Harbor Township.
Thank you very much. Barbara, we have a question from the audience for you. Can you explain why you voted to give the state aid for education to the mayor?
I voted to give the money to back to the taxpayers because when the governor gave us that extra money, he told us, he told everybody that that money was for tax relief. And by doing that, it may have been a little bit, but there's a lot of people that was losing their homes in Egg Harbor Township, a lot of people with hardships, and I felt that it was the most responsible thing to do.
Very good. Thank you very much. Pete, how do you feel about transparency to the public, and what would you do to promote it if elected?
Thank you very much for the question, and thank you to Home and School Association for having me. We have done everything possible, and we will continue to make everything we do as transparent as possible. We have overhauled our website recently. We have a Facebook presence. We have a Twitter presence. And we are currently working towards televising these meetings. We needed to do some upgrades for equipment and supplies and some personnel changes, but we are looking to televise our meetings very shortly.
Very good. Thank you. Christy, how are you? We have one for a specific question for you. You answered a question on Facebook by saying The biggest obstacle EHT has is providing a strong academic foundation to our students. As a board member, how would you implement a strong academic foundation, and how would you direct the superintendent and gain support of fellow board members?
Thank you for that question. I am a school teacher, so I am very literacy driven. I think a strong foundation starts with a full-day kindergarten program. I understand that a few years ago a study was done by Egg Harbor Township that found by third grade students catch up and don't have a deficit in literacy skills. However, when I heard that, I did my own research and found many studies that, yes, does say that students catch up by third grade, but for students that come from affluent, college-educated parents catch up. Students that are English language learners or from a more poverty-stricken environment do not catch up. And they tend to enter into Tier 2, Tier 3 intervention services. So while on the face of it, it may appear that everyone catches up, in reality, they do not catch up.
Very good. Thank you. Okay. Alicia? Hi, Alicia. Where do you stand on the recent policy approved by the school board to eliminate class rank, valedictation, and Salvatorian honors?
Well, I'm going to piggyback off of Pete's question, which is transparency. I'm going to be very transparent when I answer this question and say I never thought that it was a good idea. And my sole purpose is to be an advocate for the children. As of right now, I'm a parent, and I do have a child that does attend Fernwood Avenue School, and I do believe that because of the testing, she wasn't able to be bumped into that tier. So I am against it.
Thank you. Okay, Juanita, how are you? Okay, Juanita, what policy should the board put in place regarding transgender students?
A policy that addresses bathroom use as well as sports, sports that they are involved in, showers, things of that nature. Overall, the goal is to make sure that all students receive the services that they need. So policy should be driven to address the needs of all students, including transgender students. But it's a very touchy subject. It's a very difficult topic. But I do think there are things that could be put in place to help them to feel included.
Okay, so inclusion for all.
Yes.
Okay, and we have Stephen. How you doing, Stephen? How do you think having a dress code with different standards for girls than guys affects young girls' self-esteem? Second part of this, how do you justify the unfairness encouraged by these policies?
So first I would say I'm the father of two girls sitting right in this room, 9 and 7. And there should be no different standards. There should be universal standards across the board. I grew up, I went to Catholic school, and we were in uniforms 24/7. I'm not advocating for uniforms for our schools, but I'm saying the standards and the policy should be the same. There should be no differentiation because of your gender, age, race, any of that stuff. It should be fair across the boards, consistent, concise policies that reflect, what we want to inspire in our kids to grow up to be, and not show them at a young age, at 7 and 9, that there's different standards for different people.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Michael.
Yes.
How you doing, Michael?
Good. How are you?
Very good. A school board member's main role is to set policy. How would you handle a controversial policy change that may bring backlash from the community?
Well, you're very correct. The school board's role is to set policy and conduct budget hearings and so on and so forth to come up with an informed decision as far as where our costs stand. But it's important that we continue with policy. I mean, we go to the voters. We go to the people who are putting their trust in us. And if I'm unsure of something, I'm going to go back to you, and I'm going to open myself up for suggestions and say, hey, what do you feel about it? And I'm going to go with pretty much what the consensus of the community is. For example, the transgender policy. I don't know what the transgender policy is right now. I don't know, maybe somebody can answer that, but in my opinion, it's simple. It doesn't really need to be studied all around and so on and so forth. I know there was some concerns about it. There were lawsuits and so on and so forth. But my position on that policy is I can tell you right now that you go with, if you're a male, you're a male. You use the male bathroom. If you're a female, you use the female bathroom. Unless a judge determines that you have, legally changed your sex to whatever, then at that time you would use the appropriate bathroom. As far as people, boys dressing, whether they're dressed as a girl or a girl is dressed as a boy, I don't know how comfortable they would be sharing restrooms and so on and so forth. But this is something that needs to be discussed. The can cannot be continually kicked down the road. We need to take a stand and take a vote on it and decide what it is that we're going to go with, because it's going to come up again. And we're probably going to be looking at another lawsuit again. So we need to know where everybody stands. And I think that would be a great way to get a start on things.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yolanda, how you doing?
How are you? Good evening.
Good. What is your personal opinion regarding how much time it should take a normal AP student who is well-rounded in extracurricular activities and sports to do homework at night?
First of all, me being a mother and a grandmother, you need to have certain rests. You shouldn't be up like no later than 10 o'clock. Your activities should be at a normal range, but your education is first. Sports is not necessarily, that's something that you can do, but your education is basically the first thing. So I don't think a child should be up past 10 o'clock doing any homework or anything like that.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, Tara. What initiatives would you support to reduce class sizes, specifically at Fernwood, where some classes range from 32 to 35 students?
I work in a school, so I definitely would not want 32 to 35 students in my class that I'm teaching. It does become very difficult. However, with the population increasing so much in Egg Harbor Township, our schools are full and our classrooms are full. And I believe most of the classes that do have the higher amount of students are the honors or advanced classes, where the students are very strong. They have strong study skills. They are very self-motivated. And in that situation, although it's not ideal, it is the best that can be done at this point. What I really feel is that the students that are struggling, the ones that are borderline and really need that push up, need the smaller class sizes. That if we have students that are self-motivated and students that aren't, we need to get those students to the place where the other students are, so that it's more of an equal playing field for all the students.
Very good. Thank you. Hello, Barbara. Barbara, another question for you is, why have you so consistently voted against the budget?
Well, I haven't consistently voted against the budget. The last time that I did vote for against the budget was because there was things in there that, wait a minute, there was things in there that I didn't know were in there, and then there was things that I didn't feel should be in there. And then when I asked if something was in there, it wasn't in there. So it was just too convoluted as to what was going on and where the money was going, and I did not feel comfortable in voting on it because I wasn't sure which direction the money was going.
Okay. Very good. Pete, how are you, Pete? We have another question for you, specific. Why not go to the students of Egg Harbor Township High School and get their opinion of the class rank disappearing?
I appreciate the question, and I want to give you some background on what measures we have taken. So we recently approved a change in policy at our high school, and that will begin with the class of 2023. So that's students currently in 8th grade. It will not affect the students who are currently in high school. And we made this change based on sound research and data and input from our professionals at the high school, our principal, and our director of guidance. We believe, based on all the information that we've studied and looked at, that eliminating class rank will make our students more likely to focus on learning. We want them to choose their classes based on their education and what they're interested in learning, rather than in competing for 1/10 or 1/100th of a point in a GPA. This is a best practice, not only statewide, but around the country. Almost all other high schools in our area have moved to this. I'll name a few: St. Augustine, Ocean City, Oakcrest, Apsigami, Cedar Creek, Mainland, just to name a few who have done that. And we will make class rank available to any student who needs it, for whether it's admission to college or priority for admission or for any kind of scholarship. We also would like folks to know that we are currently working on what comes next. In other words, what will replace the class rank system, and what we are learning about from our high school administration is a plan to actually recognize more students for academic excellence by going to a system of recognizing students who graduate with honors, high honors, and highest honors, as opposed to just having the two at the top. I'll ask a question because I don't know it. Does anyone know who was the number 3 student in the class last year? Because I honestly don't know. And so by going to this state-of-the-art best practice system, we want to recognize more students who are achieving highly in their academics.
Good, thank you. Okay. Christy, we have another question specifically for you. You stated on Facebook that there was a waste in Egg Harbor Township. It needed to be flushed out, and new ideas and decisions should be explored. Could you please elaborate on the waste you are referring to?
Absolutely. I'm so glad people are following me on Facebook. Thank you. I put a lot of time into that. The waste in Egg Harbor Township that I see is that we make tons of curricular changes at the different buildings, at the different grade levels, and then 2 years go by and all of a sudden that's not a great program, so we throw it out with the wastewater and we purchase a new program. American Reading Company cost our district hundreds of thousands of dollars. We used it for a year or two. It wasn't a very popular program with some, and it was removed and replaced with another series. After a few years, though, there was a gap in between where teachers were supplementing the curriculum on their own. That should not be the case. That's where I see the waste. I also think that we're part-timing paraprofessionals to save money, and they make the absolute least in the district. So we're going after a very vulnerable population, but yet the people at the top are making a great amount of money. So I think things should be evened out a little bit more. And if you ask one group to take a cut, you should ask everyone to take the same percentage cut. And you should never take from the students. And I see that happening too. So that is not necessarily waste, but it's an effect that is caused by the waste, taking from students. So that's why I said we need to flush out some of the issues a little bit more and flush out some of the people who might be stagnant in their decision making and doing things the way they've done it for the last 10 years or so, and bring some new ideas and look at the budget with new fresh eyes and see if we can save some money that way.
Very good.
Thank you.
I admire your social media.
Thank you.
So Alicia, how are you?
Good, thank you.
We have a question. What ways will you work toward more funding from the state?
Well, when I answer these questions, I'm definitely answering them from a parent. I'm not a teacher. I'm not a principal. I'm not a current board member. So I would have to lean on the expertise of my fellow board members and also my fellow community to see what would work and what different types of programs and things that would be needed to implement. That comes from humility, which I believe is helping and receiving help. So I would definitely have to lean on my board members to be able to follow through.
Very good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Juanita, we have one specific to you again
Okay.
from the audience. How would you improve the student health services policy for the district?
Well, first of all, I would look at what policies are presently in place. And I would either expand upon them, change some things. For instance, with the opioid crisis, Governor Murphy just passed a law which states that by December 1st, all high schools, private and public, must have an opioid antidote, such as Narcan. That needs to be a policy, and it needs to be a policy addressing who's going to give the Narcan, what other people will be expected or will volunteer to do it, how it's going to be given, and things of that nature. So, and also looking at policies that affect mental health, because that's a big issue in schools, such as self-mutilation, depression, teen suicide, things of that nature. There's a lot of things, being prepared for disasters. You know, the recent shootings that we've experienced in this country, we need to be prepared for, you know, casualties, such, you know, those casualties. I know we have armed and unarmed security, but do we have trained personnel in place to address emergency situations? Do we have emergency medical kits in place? Do we have people other than the school nurses that are CPR and AED certified? So a lot of those are some of the policies that I would look at.
From the audience, what have you done or what would you plan to do to bring financial, government, and private assistance to the EHT school district?
Similar to Alicia, I'm not a board member, I'm not a teacher, I'm not an educator for, in this realm of education. I educate in emergency services. But I would first investigate what's available out there, what we currently are involved in, what we're currently doing, lean on the sitting board members that have been doing it, for the amount of tenure that they've been doing it, with the amount of expertise that they have. Because we have, a wonderful board now. They've all been educated. They've all gone above and got all their certifications to become board members and educate in the state of New Jersey, and really see what's out there. Partner with local and state agencies to see what can benefit EHT school districts the best, and make sure that that piggybacks onto the budget. So we're not at 64% of our taxes. Maybe we can start to lower that with partnering with other agencies and seeing what's out there. There's 600 schools in the state, or 600 school districts in the state. There's got to be something that each one of those schools are doing. So if we get 600 good ideas, then that's 600 better ideas than we didn't have before we went out and looked. And it's got to be based off of data. Anybody can be up here making anecdotal, personal decisions, and we need to have the data. So,
thank you very much. Appreciate that. Okay, Michael.
Yes.
What makes EHT's mission statement meaningful to you?
Well, I think it's important that we have a mission. As board members, we set policy, and we're supposed to have goals on what we're going to move forward towards. And we need to set goals. You can always do better in any organization. There's always room for improvement. And sometimes you need to start thinking a little bit out of the box and don't say, well, this is the way we've always done it. You need to start taking the feedback from the teachers, the staff, and get your finger on the pulse of what's happening around the schools. And you can only do that by communicating. So you need to effectively communicate better. We need to step up our communications with the staff and the parents and so on and so forth, and look at things with an open mind and not always, well, this is mandated, so this is the way we have to do it. Well, there's a lot of things that aren't mandated that we do that we don't have to do. So this is something that we need to take another look at and try to put some fresh, new ideas, because this is the reason why I'm running. I'm not necessarily happy with the way things are going, and I want to see change. And a change is good, but you're not going to see change unless you approach things with an open mind. And
does that mean you would relook at the mission statement?
Absolutely. I would relook at the mission statement and anything else that would be necessary to look at. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yolanda, in what ways as a newly elected board member will you improve student achievement?
First of all, I'm in the community. I would like to establish a relationship with the students to get some feedback from them. What would they like seeing to be done? And how could we as the board, not just one person, could help more? Also, I believe it's important that we hear from the students to see what's going on because we're not in the classroom. So I'm available and I'm open to work together.
All right. What community activities are you actively involved in?
Besides being a member of the Board of Education since July when I was appointed, I also I'm the service unit treasurer for Girl Scouts in Egg Harbor Township, which is also a pretty new position for me. Both my daughters are in Girl Scouts, and I help out with Cub Scouts, which my son is in whenever possible. And I've been team mom, and honestly, community service is new to me besides serving at my church because I have 3 children. And for 7-8 years, it was trying to just do my best to be a great mother and to be a great teacher. But now my children are a bit older and they can take care of themselves, they can cook dinner, and now it's my time to go out and serve the community. And I feel that serving on the board is just the best way for me to serve because I've been in education for about 20 years, and I'm just so passionate about doing what's right for our children and trying new things and listening to people and letting them have great ideas.
Thank you. Barbara, what board committee would you want to sit on and why?
I have served on all of them, and it is at the discretion of the board president. Whatever I was assigned to, I would do the best I could to make things work.
Okay.
They're all important. They're all important. I've redone the whole policy book. I don't think anybody in the township has read the whole policy book. I've done that. I've served on the transportation department. Things are a little different now, but I've been on the finance committee. I did Home and Schools Budget Committee for many, many years. I have a lot of knowledge in all of the different committees, so wherever
Very
I
good.
would work hard.
Thank you. Hi, Pete. If elected, will you support full-day kindergarten?
Yes, absolutely. We know from all the data that's out there, it's incontrovertible that early childhood education helps kids. It prepares students for the grades to come, both. So I support both all-day kindergarten as well as universal preschool. We need both of those in Egg Harbor Township. We're not at a point financially where we can do it, but these are things that we need to do. When we can talk more about budget and how we've made some progress in getting our state funding in here to a little greater extent. We were able to have at least a hold harmless budget this past year where we didn't have to make any cuts. However, at the same time, we have not been able to add some of these badly needed programs, and early childhood education is right up there. So again, universal pre-K, full-day kindergarten are badly needed for our students. It prevents them from having problems down the road, even from a financial standpoint as a district, those problems down the road, which wind up costing the district more to correct and are more severe for that student down the road. And also, I think it's also a consideration that for working parents, it's very, very difficult to deal with a half-day kindergarten program. So this is something we've heard from the community. We know that the community wants it, and we've studied it, and we know that it's needed. And it's definitely something that I would like to see happen within my time on the board.
Thank you. Christy, how many meetings have you attended in the last year?
I'm assuming you mean board meetings?
Yes.
Okay. I have attended probably only about 24, maybe a dozen and a half. But over the last 5 or 6 years, I have attended many. I am a huge proponent of Egg Harbor Township and our schools. I worked in the district previously, and as an employee in the district, you aren't necessarily encouraged to participate in board meetings, but I tended to be one who showed up because I am a parent in the district first rather than just an employee. I'm not an employee anymore. I work outside of the district now. But I think it's important to show up. That's one of the reasons I'm running, because I want to get more parents in the building. I want to have parents access these meetings, not just by physically sitting here, but being able to live stream it via Facebook. That's free. We have a Facebook presence, we have a Twitter presence, we have an Instagram presence. Why don't we in 2018, why haven't we already implemented these programs? Families are busy. It's not that parents don't want to be involved, but they can't split themselves in half and be at the soccer field, be at the board meeting, be at work, feed their family. So while I haven't been able to attend every meeting, because I too have a family, and I have a job, and I run a service organization for girls, I have done my very best to attend, but I would have really taken advantage if we had access to these meetings online, as I have suggested previously.
Thank you. Thank you. Alicia, piggybacking on that question, because this is one from the audience as well.
Okay.
Do you think meetings need to be televised?
Yes, I do. I think the community needs to know what is being discussed, what decisions are being made. I think that is part of being transparent. I think that not only should it be televised, I think that maybe it should be some type of notification that goes out via mail, where if they're not able to catch it Facebook Live or however we'll stream it, they'll be able to read it, go back, look at the questions asked and how they were answered. They have something that they can see, they can read, they can go back to. So yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'd just like to respond real quick to the attendance here tonight. I'm surprised. There's so many people here, and it shows your commitment to your students and their education. So I just wanted to say that because I've been to other meetings, and it's amazing how many people are here. So. So we have Juanita.
Yes.
Juanita, what has been your greatest accomplishment as a board member over your years of service? And those looking to serve, what are you looking to change?
What's the question?
Sure. So what has been your greatest accomplishment as a board member over the years of service?
I've never been a board member here in EHT,
Okay.
but I'll answer that.
Sure.
However, back in the 90s, I did one term as a board member in Pleasantville. And during that time, Pleasantville was doing a lot better than what it is right now. It wasn't under state watch. You know, we had board members that really cared and worked hard. The one of the biggest accomplishments that I can remember during that time is being involved in the implementation of 2 new schools in Pleasantville, the middle school and high school. So that's my answer.
Very good.
Yes.
Well, thank you. Okay. Stephen, okay, what is your job as a board member in relationship to the superintendent's job in the district? So I guess, what would your job as a board member be in relationship to the superintendent's job?
I would have to say that from the stuff that I've read online, and I've talked to my mother-in-law, who's a retired superintendent, it's holding the superintendent accountable for the policy and the agendas and the procedures of the school district. The school district has policies that the board puts in place, And the superintendent has got to make sure that those policies are held up by the principals and the assistant superintendents and the paras and everybody else that's under her in the school district, and making sure that they're following, the guidelines of both the state regulations and, the guidance and policy drivenness of the school board. So pretty much making sure that the school is held accountable to somebody.
Okay, very good. Thank you. What is your biggest weakness?
My biggest weakness? Sometimes, if you don't analyze things carefully and separate what it is that your goal is, you can let your emotions kick in. And that can sometimes affect your rational decision-making. So I would say that my biggest weakness is I have a tendency to be emotional. Sometimes I could be easily excitable. Sometimes I could be less easily excitable. But I would say that my weakness would be sometimes I could be a very emotional person, and that could work to my advantage, and sometimes not to my advantage. But that's pretty much what it would be in a nutshell.
Very good. Thank you. Okay, Yolanda.
Hey.
Where do you see the school district in 5 to 10 years? And what is an educational goal you have for our kids?
One thing I want to say, we have too many children that are out of district in Egg Harbor Township. And if I become a board member, I'm hoping we can work together to come up with a plan so that their education can grow more in Egg Harbor Township. And it's going to take a budget, things we're going to have to do, resources. It's going to take a lot of work, because Egg Harbor Township is very big, very big.
Sure is. Sure is. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, hello again. Okay, if elected, is there a conflict with you voting on any policy or contract that comes across the board?
I don't believe there's any conflict. I am just starting on the board and only have a few months under my belt, but I don't know, I'm a pretty simple person. I'm a teacher, so I'm not sure how that works with negotiations, if I'm allowed to vote with negotiations, but as things come up, I'm very willing to ask questions, as I have the last few months to the other board members, to learn what my roles and responsibilities are and what I can and cannot do, because it's a whole different ballgame. And it doesn't matter if you're a teacher and you've been teaching in the classroom for 15 or 20 years. Taking a seat on the board and serving, it's different, and you have to learn. It's a whole new ballgame. So as far as I am concerned, there is nothing that, there's no conflicts. However, I'm sure that I will find out if there is.
Thank you very much, Tara. Barbara, would you support a policy requiring all students to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
No. I think that respect should be shown, but I don't think that if someone doesn't want to do it, they shouldn't have to do it. We already went through a terrible time in a teacher expecting everybody to stand, and I disagreed with that also, but respect should be shown. But they don't have to say it.
Very good.
Or stand.
Thank you.
Just remain quiet and let the others that want to do it.
Thank you, Barbara. Pete, in the high school, we're required to have a performing arts in order to graduate. Do you think this is a better alternative compared to an academic class in our limited schedules, especially if there is no relevance to our future career goals?
I definitely think it's an advantage. Our extracurricular activities make better students and make better people. They make for a whole person, whether it's involvement in sports, music, the arts, the theater, service clubs, academic clubs, all the extracurricular activities, and I may have left some out, all make our students better students because they learn such things as teamwork and discipline. And they make friends and they form relationships. It rounds them as people and makes them better students. So I support, yes, the arts in our school, both as part of the curriculum and as extracurricular, as well as all other activities. However, I always say when I'm asked this, and I want to be very clear, academics come first. But with that said, all of our extra and co-curricular activities are good for our students.
Very good. Thank you, Pete. Christy, would you support parents paying for full-day kindergarten rather than putting it back on our taxpayers?
I actually would, because I know that Linwood has that model. They initially present that option to parents whose students are struggling, and they provide them with a full-day option, and many parents choose to do that. I think parents would be willing to kick in some of that payment. Many parents are paying private entities in Egg Harbor Township and elsewhere to make up for our half-day deficiency here in EHT. And many students, speaking of students leaving the district to go to other schools, as was previously brought up, many parents are putting their students in private schools in our area because they cannot figure a way around a half-day program, because many families have 2 working parents right now. So I would look into that and see if the community would be interested in that. I think one of our obstacles is finding the space to provide that, but if we look into maybe flexible classrooms a little bit further, you know, classrooms now aren't rows of seats and traditional like we all grew up with. Maybe we can come up with a more modern approach to what a classroom looks like to make that work.
Very good. Thank you. Alicia.
Hi.
Hi. School spirit and school pride has been lacking. How would you go about bringing more school spirit and pride to our schools?
I think we can implement different programs. Right now, the whole pay-to-play is hurting the district. A lot of parents can't afford for their children to play football, basketball, be involved in cheerleading because they do have multiple children. I think that's something that can be discussed and maybe worked out within the budget. And I think if more students are playing sports, then it will up the school spirit. I know when I was going to Egg Harbor Township, we had Spirit Day. We had Wear Your School T-shirt Day. We had different things that we did just to show the pride and the spirit of Egg Harbor Township and Eagles.
Very good.
And also, we can use social media. That's a very big outlet. Maybe have some type of contest for someone who thinks of, a student that thinks of something creative to put on one of the websites or something on Facebook. Maybe have a student in the media club walk around with the video for the day, just broadcasting the different spirit, Egg Harbor Township spirit and pride that they have. So.
Very good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Juanita, when there is an ethical complaint against a board member, how will you hold them accountable for their actions?
First of all, you have to do some investigative work to find out if the complaint holds any merit. And if you find out that the board member did do something that was unethical, then they should be held accountable for it.
Okay. Thank you. Stephen, this is the last question from the audience. Then we're going to start back to the beginning again with the last, we're going to wrap it up with some closing comments, so just so you're prepared, okay? So Stephen, it is not secret that the EHT board and the township have had rough patches. How do you plan to bridge the gaps so the students and the community can benefit from both boards working together?
I think like we talked about before, with transparency, I think transparency is very important. I've come to a couple of board meetings. My schedule in the evenings with my kids' activities is, flexible, we get busy. And in the meetings that I've come to, it's like the same 10 or 12 people. There's 40,000 residents of EHT, and there's a great turnout tonight, but there's still 40,000 residents of EHT. And if you did the math, we're like, 2 or 3% of the population. We need to get the message out that they need to be here, and they need to ask us questions. They need to hold us accountable for our actions, for the policies, for the procedures that we put in place, and make it so that our kids are benefiting from everything, that we're being fiscally responsible to the taxpayers, and that we're giving the educators everything they need. And that comes with more than 15 people in a room. It comes with, I know we only have so much room for so many people, but like they talked about with Facebook and other stuff, we can go live on Facebook, right now, in 2 seconds. And it works. And, from my personal experience, we have staff meetings within my hospital for our EMS department, and the same 6 people came to those staff meetings. And then they would, talk about, well, we don't know what's going on, this and that. So last year I instituted web access. And it goes out, we have 2 web access, one in the morning and one in the evening, so we can catch both shifts. And we've had turnouts of 70 to 80 staff members at each of those meetings. So we're covering 75% of our population with meetings, doing it in a different manner in 2018. So I think the most important thing is being transparent, consistent, and concise with every message that we give out, and making sure that we're holding the people that need to be held accountable, and doing everything for the kids.
Thank you. Thank you, Stephen. And we do have 2 more questions, so we'll be able to finish up. Sorry. Okay, Michael.
Yes.
After being on the board for so long, how do you connect with our youth?
Well, you have to encourage the youth in anything that you do in the school system. I mean, the kids are our future. And when you're on the board, I'm not on the board, but you said after you've been on the board for so long, well, I think you need to change things. You need to change the way that you're doing business and try to encourage the youth to participate more and come out to the meetings. I don't know if we have it now, but you need a student board representative. You need to encourage that. And you need to go to the schools and reach out to people. And piggybacking on some of the things that we just mentioned about board meeting attendance, one of my ideas is, and don't laugh, but we need to start thinking out of the box. We need to go out to the community. We have firehouses. We have 5 firehouses. We could go out and hold meetings some nights at firehouses, move around the township, take the board out to the community, encourage people to come out. I'm in West Atlantic City. I'd like to have a meeting in West Atlantic City one night and have people come out and just try to stimulate some new interest and get the word out better than we have been. So, thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Yolanda, the last one is for you. In the past year, how many board meetings have you attended prior to your commitment to run for the Board of Education?
I haven't attended any, but I'm very active in the community. I'm in school now, going to social worker. I'm right in the center on Spruce Avenue there every day with community, Egg Harbor Township, the families.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you
for your kindness. I appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you. Thank you for having me, too. So we're going to start back here with Tara. And Tara, you're going to have a minute for some closing comments. And anyway, we'll start with you.
First of all, I want to thank everybody for coming out today. And I see a lot of friendly faces and a lot of wonderful teachers that my children have had in the past and currently. And I want to put it out there that I am new on the board. I've learned a lot, and that I feel my interpersonal skills that I have developed over the many years that I've been alive. I'm a great listener and speaker. I've learned to ask questions, not take anything at face value, do my own research, and make decisions on my own. But with that being said, part of being on the board and part of my understanding is that we need to support our teachers and our administrators so that they can make decisions for our children that they feel is in their best interest. And as a board member, I plan to support everyone to make the best decisions for our children, because at the end of the day, everyone sitting here, you're either sitting here because you are still a child and you care about your education, or you're sitting here because you have children. And I promise to do the best I can for your children.
Thank you very much. Barbara?
First, I want to thank everybody for coming tonight. I thoroughly believe that nothing better than an informed voter. And thank you for Home and School for having us tonight. I'm fully aware of the time commitment as a board member, and I have no conflicts in performing any of the board duties. I have the ability to be a team player and to listen to facts before making any decision. I'm an independent thinker, and I don't have a problem in voicing my opinion. Common sense and fairness also needs to be used in making decisions. By being a willing participant in this evening's forum, I have shown another level of my commitment to our students and community. I believe we need more transparency with the Board of Education. If elected, I would like to see the work sessions and regular meetings televised so that those that can't attend would be able to watch on EHT TV or live stream through our website. I also would like to see reinstating the public being included in the policy committee. I would also like to see no money spent on necessary legal fees. My commitment has been proven by a number of meetings and the training and the work sessions that I have attended to achieve the Master Board member. I would also like to serve with integrity and use the knowledge that I have. Please vote on November 6th, and I'm number 4 on the ballot.
Thanks, Barbara. Okay, Pete.
Well, I'd like to thank the Home and School Association as well, and all of you watching, either here or at home. I've been a member of the board for the past 18 years. I served for 3 years as vice president, and I currently serve as president of the board. Thanks to our excellent faculty and staff, the EHT School District provides our students with a high-quality education. We have some great things going on in the EHT schools right now. We hired a dynamic new superintendent, and together with the board, we have refocused our efforts on student achievement and student safety and security. Thanks to our aggressive lobbying by our team, we have started to turn around the chronic underfunding from the state of New Jersey. This year, there is $3.5 million extra dollars in the budget because of our efforts, and here's the testimony that we delivered in Trenton. It's been an honor to serve on the board. I've worked hard. I believe I've made a difference, and I would like to ask for your support to continue my service. Thank you again.
Thanks, Pete. Chrissy?
Thank you, everyone, for coming. Thank you, Home and School Association, for hosting this wonderful night. Thank you for bearing with me because public speaking is not my favorite thing to do, so thank you for your patience. I've said from the very beginning of this adventure that we need to put the public back into public education. My goal is to get people into this room and listening to the issues that our students have, that our teachers have. I'm a really good listener. I don't always have to be right, but I want to make the right decisions based on what our community needs, what our students need, and what our teachers need. I've said before that you cannot spell accomplishment without EHT, and I believe that. I believe in our schools. I believe in our community. I believe our strength is our size. We have so much diversity in this district. We should be utilizing the resources that we have here. We don't have to go far. We have so many resources. We need to maximize that and bring our students into the future, not worry about old stuff that's happened on the board. We need to move forward. We need to work together, and we need to do the very best we can for our district.
Thank you,
We're
Christy.
neighbors.
Thank you. Alicia?
Yes, I just want to thank everyone for attending. Thank you for having me. My honest, heartfelt, and humble reason for running for the Board of Education is to service my community, us. I think being a parent of a 13 and a 3-year-old, as well as attending school in the district, I've seen the same issues come up year after year. Full-day kindergarten, testing, ranking, taxes, teachers being underpaid, services not being available for the youth and the students. I think that it's time that we reinvent the wheel. It's time for change. This is from the heart. I'm not reading a script. I love my community, and I'm here for their purpose to service my community. Thank you.
Thanks, Alicia. Juanita?
I'd like to thank everyone for coming out tonight. I would like to thank Home and School for putting together this candidate forum. And I'm really passionate about children and their education, and that's why, as a retiree, I decided to run for the board. I want to serve and give back to my community, as well as advocate for the children, the parents, taxpayers, teachers, and school staff. I would also like to share my over 37 years experience as a healthcare provider and over 25 years as a school nurse, working in a school system for the economically disadvantaged students. I bring that experience with me. With the demographic shift that EHT is experiencing and will continue to experience because of the requirement for low-income housing, I think it would be beneficial to have someone on the board who has the knowledge and the experience servicing children who are not from, that have economically disadvantaged students. And I think that I would be a good choice for the board.
Thank you, Juanita. Stephen?
I'm going to start with thanking everybody for coming out tonight. Thanks to the Home and School Board. And I just want to start with saying that I'm running to be a voice for the kids, for the taxpayers, for the educators, to make sure that they understand that we're here to support them and that we're here to give them what they need and be a support structure for them. Also, I heard that since the meetings are on Tuesdays, that there's Taco Tuesdays here, so I was definitely in at that. But no, I just want to be a part of something that I can, believe in and love. I love EHT. We moved here 3 years ago on purpose. We could have moved anywhere. We chose to move here. We chose to send our kids to this school district, and they've had a phenomenal education thus far. And I just think that with my 17 years of emergency services, making decisions in the worst and difficult of times, gives me a very diverse background to be able to make decisions, when we have to make decisions on tough subjects. But I also want the kids and students to know that I think that it's our due diligence to make sure that these decisions are for them. The school ranking decisions, we talked about the moral in what's going on in schools. So let's ask them what they want. And that's how we can decide on the policies.
Thank you very much. Michael?
Well, again, I'd like to thank everybody, the moderator, everybody for coming out, Home and School. This hour went pretty quickly, and I think it was very informative. I learned a lot from some of the candidates, and I think we have a better idea of what everybody's about as we leave. I would just like to say I'm a lifelong resident of Egg Harbor Township. I'm 55 years old. I've seen a lot of changes over the years. I've attended the Egg Harbor Township schools. I think we only had 5 of them in those days. I was kidding when we came in the lobby. English Creek Avenue only had the Purina pet food company. That was the only building on English Creek Avenue back in the late 60s when they used to bus us out to the graveled English Creek McKee City School. And again, I've been proud to be part of Egg Harbor Township all these years. And I think that we need to remember the taxpayers, because none of this would happen if the taxpayers weren't here to support us. And I remember years ago we would be able to go out and vote on the budgets, but you don't see that so much anymore because you stay under the state cap, the 2%. But I think it's important that we remember the taxpayers, the people that live paycheck to paycheck, senior citizens. That was fast. Thank you very much. I appreciate your vote on November 6th. Mike Price for the 2-year unexpired term, position 1.
Thank you.
Over and out.
Okay. I want to thank you for having me tonight, and I really want to thank you for your kindness. You was very nice, professional. I appreciate that. I want to let everyone know I'm a resident for 21 years here. I had 2 years graduate. I have 4 grandchildren here, and I'm here for the children, and I'm in the community, and I just want a chance to help. Thank you.
And again, a round of applause for our candidates tonight. You all did a great job. Wonderful.
Please drive home safely and vote November 6th.